Hey nerdy knitter, it's the end of another month and that means another nerdy knitting roundup. So grab a drink and your knitting and let's settle in for a good chat. So just a few announcements before we get into the knitting for a knit along and an upcoming conference I'm teaching at. All the details, I want to make sure you know everything about that. So first of all is the Vogue Knitting online conference that's coming up in October. Now Vogue Knitting of course has lots of events. They have in-person events and they have getaway trips, and they also offer online conferences as well, which is great if you can't really afford to get to some of these bigger events. You can take classes online, and I'm going to be teaching 2 of them at their event in October. Fix Your Knitting Mistakes, which is sort of a foundational course that I teach all about like reading your stitches and then applying that knowledge to fixing drop stitches or sections of stitches. We're going to do like fix sections of stitches in stockinette and garter and rib and seed stitch, and then cover all the basic things you need to know about fixing your mistakes. The second class is all about knitting with your favorite variegated yarns and how to really make those colors shine and choose the right projects for the variegated yarns that you have. Now, you probably have seen some videos about variegated yarns here in the past, and that's sort of like where this idea for this class came from. There was so much interest in those videos and so many comments and lots of views, so I realized there's a big interest here, so I developed a class, a 2-hour class that I'm going to be teaching for the first time at Vogue Knitting Live. So you can get your variegated yarn and swatch along with me, and we can test them out and see how these variegated yarns act. So I'll have the links for those for the online conference down below when I have it, and you can go check out my classes as well as all of the other classes. I'm going to be taking some as well, so I'm looking forward to. I love to watch classes too. I'm always learning. There's so many things to learn about knitting. I haven't learned it all, so I'm really looking forward to some classes that I'm attending. And one more thing, I don't have a link for it yet. I'll try to put a link down below when it happens, but I'm going to be doing a giveaway. You can choose one of my classes to attend, and that giveaway is going to be over on the community tab, its own separate post, and you can comment to enter that giveaway when it's live. I'll put a link for that down below as well, so you can hop over there and enter that giveaway if you're interested in attending one of my classes. The next thing is a new pattern release. This just came out this week. This cowl uses chroma worsted weight from Knit Picks in black, and then you use a second gradient color, and that gets you all of these colors in here. So this is stranded knitting done in the round, and then you sew your cast on and your bind off edge together just like that. So you only see the beautiful knitting. You don't see any like sort of stranded floats. They're all trapped inside. Now, along with this pattern release, I'm also going to be hosting a knit along that's coming in November. And you can knit this cowl, or I also have one that uses chroma fingering weight yarn called the Longshore Currents cowl. I'll pop a picture up here. So you can choose to knit one of these cowls. You can get the pattern from me, and then you can get the yarn from Knit Picks with a discount. I'll have the link for that down below as well. And knit along with me in November. We're going to live stream every week. We'll have a cast on party. We'll have giveaways during the live stream, and we'll have one big giveaway from Knit Picks at the end. So I will have a link. I have a new community that I host through like my course and pattern website. So you can join like the little group over there, and that's where everything will be happening. We'll be live streaming over here, but if you want to chat or enter like the big giveaway at the end, then you can hop over there. So I'll have a link to that community where you can find all the details for the knit along and the pattern for this as well. If you just want to get the pattern, everything linked down below. And thank you to Knit Picks for providing the yarn for these cowls and the giveaway for the knit along, and also for today's giveaway, which we'll talk about at the end. They are generously doing the giveaway prize, so you'll have to stick around to the end for that. So here's a quick recap of my knitting projects. At the end of last month, I had all my projects spread out, so I recorded a quick video about what I'd like to accomplish by the end of this month. Then we can actually see what I finished. It's the end of August. I'm going to sit down and record my podcast. Before I do, I wanted to record where I am with my progress currently and what I'd like to do by the end of September. So first of all, I have a new hat design that I need to work on. Here's all the yarn for that. It's a lot of different colors. It's a colorwork hat. So I need to get this finished, and most likely by the September podcast, it'll hopefully already be in the mail since it's due in October. So I'll just have a picture of that to show. But that is something I definitely have to get done this month. And then my Felix cardi, which I did not get to. I finished the body at least, but I didn't finish it. That was my plan last month, was to get it done. But honestly, I was not looking forward to having a fluffy, bulky sweater sitting on my lap in August, knitting sleeves. So it just didn't get done. So the plan is to get this finished. That's all I have left is the sleeves and the button band and neckline to finish up. So the plan for September is to get that completed as well and get some overhead tutorials recorded to teach all of those different parts of cardigan knitting. Now I'm making really good progress on this scarf. I was behind schedule last month, but I'm actually now ahead of schedule. I finished chart number 4 and I've finally started the last chart, and I think I've done about maybe almost 20 of the rows on the last chart already. So you can see this is how much I finished since the last episode. So I'm going to move my marker up so I can continue to keep track of my progress. So the plan is to finish half of the final chart. So up to row 50 of the chart, and that will hopefully I'll get the last of that chart finished in October, and this will be ready for Christmas. This has been a long project, just getting those 50 rows a month, staying pretty much on track, but I'm doing good with that. Hopefully I can stay on track with that. Now the Scout shawl, I had a lot of knitting time because I had a whole month. It was a lot of relaxing time for knitting, so I got a lot of this finished. But I'm probably going to be slowing down now that I'm back to work and doing all of my other things. So I think the plan for this is to just finish the current chart. The current chart I think is like 100 and some rows, and I'm not that far into it. Well, 2 different charts, like I've got about that much to do. Each of these charts is actually 2 pages because they're so long. So I think that's the plan for the next month, is just to finish that one chart. And my last project is the Fading Point shawl. So I have one half of it all finished because it's a large rectangle, but you work on both ends of the rectangle and then you finish off the middle, joining them together. So I have finished one half of that rectangle except for one row. I have one row left to work, so I'm going to get that done. And then I think the plan after that will be to start the next half of the shawl. It's the same exact thing repeated for the other side, but I don't, because of course I'm back to work and I don't have a lot of free time for knitting like I did over the last few months, or few weeks I should say. Then we will plan to do about half of it. I think we'll cast on the second half and get half of it done over September. So that is where I'm at with my projects currently and what I'd like to do. So let's go see what I actually accomplished this month. My Felix cardigan is finished. I just put the buttons on last night. So this is officially done. I do have to give it one last wash. I did that before I did the button band, but I think I'm going to do it one more time just to even things out right here. But it fits really well. I'm not going to put it on right now because it's very warm. And this is fuzzy and very, very warm. But I'm really pleased with how it came out, and I'm looking forward to wearing it this winter. So this uses Knit Picks Wonderfluff, which is a blown yarn, alpaca, 70% alpaca, 23% nylon, 7% merino. This color is called Cosmopolitan. So the nylon I think is like a tube, and then the fibers are blown into it. So it's a very lightweight yarn. So if you like to use alpaca, alpaca has like no elasticity or memory. It just kind of gets very drapey and beautiful, but sometimes you don't want that in your sweater. So that's where a blown yarn is a good choice, because like the structure of the yarn gives that alpaca some structure for itself. So you can knit like a seamless sweater and still use that lovely soft alpaca. That's the only thing off my needles. Actually, wait, no. I have a hat. I don't have it here, and I forgot to take a picture of it, but it's a design to go with an article about weaving in the ends on stranded knitting for Cast On. It'll be coming out in their next issue, and I used Brown Sheep Nature Spun Sport for that in like various shades of blue and then a shade of orange. And I used orange for the pom-pom as well, and then it has like one round of orange in the hat. Just to give it like a really great pop of color. But I totally forgot to get a picture of that. So hopefully I think it'll probably be out by the next episode, so you'll get to see what it looks like. But it's just a 1x1 rib cuff or brim of the hat, and then like a stranded knitting motif, like just a band of stranded knitting, and then back to like one of the main blues, and the crown is done like with 4 decrease points, almost like the spoke of a wheel or something, but with 4 points on it, and then a pom-pom on top. So it's a pretty simple hat, but enough stranded knitting in there so I could take lots of pictures of all of the different methods for weaving in ends on stranded knitting. And there are actually a lot, so that article will be coming out along with the pattern in the next issue of Cast On. So I think I have 3 projects on the needles, and I did start some new ones as well. So of course, my Twilight Realm scarf, which is all tangled up in here. I really worked on this a lot, so I'm actually ahead of schedule. I think I have maybe about 40 rows of the chart left. So I finished the half of the chart that I wanted to for the month, and I'm already into the second half of the final chart. So I have, I think, about 40 rows of the chart. That's about 80 rows of knitting. So really happy to be almost finished. There's my marker right there. After I record, I'll record my little recap section, and then I can move my marker. But this is where I finished the last episode. So I've done this much. I know it doesn't look like much, but that is a lot of knitting. Double knitting takes me a long time. I'm very slow, but I'm almost seeing the end, and I am happy about that. I'm kind of sick of this scarf. I started it Christmas time last year, and she'll be getting it as a gift this Christmas. It's for my daughter. She's a huge like Breath of the Wild, Link, Zelda, those games, and Twilight Princess is one of her favorite games, and this scarf is based on that. So it's a labor of love. I'm knitting it because, well, at first I wanted to like practice my double knitting skills. I don't want to practice them anymore. Almost a year later, I think I do good. Like my tension's improved compared to the beginning. It's a massive shawl. It's already taller than she is, and it's just massive. But she's in love with it. So I'm pleased with that. I know that she'll love it, but yeah, I'm not loving knitting this anymore. I want to be finished, and I'm getting there. I'm almost done. But this leads me to a topic that I thought we should discuss. Like, what happens when you're working through a knitting project and you just don't want to finish it? Like, so I like to read productivity books, you know, because there's a lot of things you have to do in life that you just don't want to do sometimes. And so I got some inspiration from a recent book, and I think one of probably our next, maybe Knit and Chat in November is going to be about that. Because especially with gift season coming and people knitting gifts, sometimes the motivation is not there. And of course, yeah, you don't have to knit something you don't want to knit, but I am this far in, I'm going to finish this. Like, why would I not finish when I have 40 rows left? And I know she wants it, and it's a gift, so I will do it. But I'm at the point where I need to find other ways to motivate myself to finish. So I think that's going to be a good topic to discuss in November, because I need the motivation right now. So for me, I have relegated this to, like, I do a couple rows a day when I have my lunch or breakfast break. So when I have that break from this is my work. So knitting and designing and teaching and prepping classes and swatches. When I sit down and have a break, I usually sit at the kitchen table and I have YouTube on, watching other videos on there. And I do 2 rows of the chart every day, and that's the plan, because then, if I do that every day, then I'll finish half a chart a month. If I do that on weekdays, I take the weekends off from this project. But it's just what I have to do to get through it now. Like, I'd been doing that for a while, but now it's like, okay, just do my 2 rows of the chart and check it off, get it done. So I tied it to something that's already in my schedule, my daily meal time. I'm gonna sit and have my lunch or my breakfast, watch some YouTube, and get the couple rows of that knitting done. And it's been working. Like, I'm ahead of schedule. I only have about 40 rows left. So that's about, if I do my 2 rows a day of the chart, then that's only 20 more days. So this will be done in plenty of time for Christmas. Almost all of the ends are woven in, just the last new tails, I think, right here. And weaving in ends and double knitting are super easy. You really don't have to. You can do like a few stitches of duplicate stitch and then kind of poke them inside and they stay in there just fine. But yes, it's that slog point now where I want to get it done. I know I need to get it done and I need to motivate myself to finish. If you have any advice about that, I would love to hear what you do if you have a project you know you can't frog it or you don't want to frog it and you want to get it done. What motivates you to finish it? What kind of tricks and things do you do? I think that would be a helpful video. So that's going to come up in November. We're going to talk about like motivation and productivity for knitters, because sometimes, yes, you might be obligated to finish a project for whatever reason, and you need to find a way to motivate yourself when you've lost your motivation for that project. Thankfully, personal projects, you know, I can ignore them or whatever, but when it comes to something like a gift for somebody else and they know about it and they know it's coming, then yeah, you need some motivation to finish it up. But the yarn for this project, I should say, it's a cotton and acrylic blend. It's Knit Picks Comfy Fingering. It is, I don't write down the percentage, but it's Pima cotton with some acrylic. It's a really soft, lovely yarn. Machine washable, which I love for my daughter's stuff because then she can just take care of her own things. She knows to do like on the delicate cycle because it's knitting, so we treat it delicately, but machine washable is preferable for her. So this will be easy to take care of. And it's a scarf, so I mean, after I'll probably wash it when it's done. I don't think she'll have to wash it very often. Scarves don't need that much washing, I don't think. Then again, this one is so long, it's probably going to drag on the ground. But well, she likes to wrap them around her neck multiple times, and so she'll still have lots of scarf to display. So I'm glad to see the almost end of this project, though. Next is the Scout Shawl by Florence Spurling. So this one is a blend of Intarsia and also stranded knitting knit flat, which is what I wanted to work on. Because I've never done stranded knitting flat and I wanted to try that out. I'm also getting to the place when this one where I'm getting a little bored, but I think I'm gonna like focus on doing like one chart at a time. And I finished, like this section was actually, it's gonna be 2 charts. It's quite a big one and she has like the full thing all charted out. So I finished the first chart and I'm working on the second one for both of these. So that'll probably be my plan for this month, is to finish the current chart I'm working on. Because yarn management is a thing. Like you've got, let me see here, 6 different balls of yarn going on. You got like one little tiny ball of yarn at each end for just the edge stitches, and then the two balls of each color for the patchwork pattern on here. So, and I'm done with all the increasing, so it's just working straight, working through these charts, doing the edging with Intarsia. The skills are absolutely fine now. I'm getting, the Intarsia is fine, knitting flat, stranded is fine. Oh, I think I reversed my background and pattern color on that row, but there's there's the back side of my work. That looks pretty good. You can see that one row where I must have reversed what was background and what was pattern. But it's not hard. I did find like the best way for me to manage all of the yarns is to not turn my work. Like I finish knitting this way, I don't turn it and purl back. I keep it this way and I purl back or knit backwards or whatever you want to call it. I'm technically purling, I'm just doing it so I can see the front of my work and not turning my work around. I'm doing that with another project as well. I do that when I'm just doing plain stockinette. Instead of turning to purl and I'm knitting flat, then I just always look at the right side and I purl back. But I usually hold the yarn in my left hand, and that process is much easier with your left hand. I can do it with my right, but I don't find it easy or comfortable. So if you're a right-handed knitter, purling back is going to be weird. Like it's harder to do. It's much easier to do if you hold the yarn in your left hand. So if you are a continental knitter, then you might want to give it a try, especially if you're like hate purling or something. I don't hate it. I think it's just easier than turning my project all the time. Just knit one way, purl the other without having to turn things around, but it's definitely useful with this. And I'm still, like, I am still got my yarns all tangled up even without turning it. So I can't imagine how much worse it would be if I had to turn the work. So I used different shades of green and purple along with white, and then you get sort of this patchwork effect. And I really like how it's coming out. It's very like patchwork quilt style, and it's all curled up on itself. It needs a good blocking. So I'm using Knit Picks palette, which is 100% Peruvian wool, perfect for stranded knitting projects. It's a 2-ply yarn, very grabby, and it's good. It's just good for stranded knitting projects because it'll sort of bloom and fluff out, and then all of your stitches will, they'll just, I mean, my stitches don't look bad. They're very puckery in spots. But washing and just soaking the wool, especially, I find the biggest difference with stranded knitting projects. When they finally get washed, they just look so much better. And this doesn't even look bad, but it'll look a lot better after it's had a good soak. I'm also working on another shawl, which is breaking one of my rules of just having like one project type at a time. Like I have to finish one shawl before I can start another, but over summer vacation, I threw the rules out the window. So this is the Fading Point shawl by Locatelli. And this one is really interesting. It's massive for one thing, but you knit in like 2 pieces from like the outside edge to the center. And then when those both pieces are done, you do some stuff in the middle. I don't know what I'm doing in the middle yet. I'm working on the second of the 2 pieces, and it's a lot of garter stitch and a little bit of lace, and fading from one color to another. So with the yarn, I dyed my own yarn. I've been watching craftsy classes, like re-watching over and over with, what's her name, Sarah Eyre. And she's got I think two different classes on there with lots of different yarn dyeing techniques. So I've been watching those and using those as like my foundation to like figure out how to get like a gradient set. So I had like sort of 3 base colors, and then I would combine different amounts of those base colors to do like the 2 faded sort of, not quite, they're variegated, but they're very subtle variegated. So I could move from one color to another. And I think you can see pretty much there, like it starts out as more of a coral pinky color here, and I'm getting into the orange over on this side. So I'm almost finished with the second piece. I think I'm on color 4 now, and there's 5 colors altogether. So after, I think the plan will be to finish this one and then start whatever's happening in the middle where you join the 2 pieces together. Because there's sort of like a bias shape, because you've got increases in the middle and decreases at the edges, so you get sort of a spine down the center, and so it has like an arrow shape like that. And so both pieces will have that, and then something going on when you join them, and I don't know what yet. We will see when we get there. I have not read ahead, but I feel like besides the Scout shawl and the double knitting, everything else is pretty simple. Like, I mean, there's a bit of shaping, but it's just garter stitch and a bit of lace. Nothing particularly difficult here. So the yarn for this is Capretta Superwash, which is an 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, also from Knit Picks. Well, usually at Christmas time, I will like make a big list, or I'll actually even like fill the shopping cart for my in-laws or my husband, and they just sort of buy it all for me for Christmas. And I'm still working on last year's supply. So I don't know if I'm going to actually buy much yarn this Christmas. I want a spinning wheel. That's my big gift, and I'm hoping to pick that up soon. It's for my Christmas gift, but I think that might be what I get this year instead of a lot of yarn, because I'm still working on yarn from last year. There's a lot. You can see some behind me I haven't even finished using. It's earmarked for certain projects, but I haven't gotten around to those projects yet. But this one's coming along good. Really relaxing. It's been great for like when I'm watching, I'll watch a lot of subtitled dramas, and garter stitch is the perfect thing to do when you are watching something you have to read. And it's been wonderful, and I think it's the color changes keep me going. Like, because when it starts to feel a little boring, I'll be like, oh, I've only got so many rows and I've got to switch colors. So that's sort of like that little motivation to keep going to the next thing or next part of the project. That's everything I had on my needles from last month, but I do have some new things as well that I've cast on since then. So I had a lot of yarn left over since knitting the Musselburgh hat. So I thought, what can I do to go along with those? And I'm thinking, oh, I could do some mittens or something like that. And then I'm like, I don't even know if I want to do a thumb gusset. I want something super simple. So I was scrolling through and I saw Bakery Bears Kay. She has wrist ticklers. It's a free pattern online, but basically it's just like the same circumference for a sock. Like it's the same yarn. So I can't remember how many stitches she recommends for her, but I just grabbed my sock and I tried it on. I wanted to be able to pull them up higher, so I knew I'd wanted it a little looser than like your general 60 whatever stitches. So I went with what I usually wear for socks, which is 72 stitches, because I want to do quite long ones, and it fits really well up here. Hopefully it won't be too tight. It shouldn't when it gets to my palm. I don't even think I'm going to do a thumb gusset. It's just going to be like the wrist warmer, and I can just pull it up on my wrist if I want to, you know, without having to deal with thumbs. So I've already done, I mean, this is the first one. I can't remember how many rounds I did for the cuff, and then I switched and I'm just doing stripes. I think 6 rows and 3 rows, or 5 rows and 3 rows. Yeah, 5 and 3. I went with odd numbers. I thought that would be easy to remember. So just alternating colors. Very simple, knitting in the round, nothing really particularly difficult about this, and I'll just keep going until I feel like it's long enough. It's getting there, I think. I think maybe if I pull it up that high, I want to be able to like pull it up to here, so probably that much more to go. And then, you know, I can always wear them bunched up if I want, or pull it down over my wrist, and then it might become a gift for somebody, because the hat's done already. Hat and wrist warmers, and wrist warmers are like, I mean, anybody can wear those, and then it doesn't have to be like a thumb in a certain spot. And so yeah, it might go in my gift bin when it's done, like the hat and these together. So maybe I should have done them a smaller size. They fit me, but I've got sort of a wide palm, but I think it'll be okay even in this size. So this uses Hypnotic yarn. Let me see the colors. Plush Sock, Wildflower, and Amethyst Shadow. So just a Superwash Merino and Nylon. In those two, I really like the color combination, and with the hat I think it'll be a nice little gift. So I'm working on the first one, and then I don't know, maybe I'll reverse the colors on the next one. Maybe not, maybe I'll just do them both the same. I should check actually to see how much yarn I have to make sure I'm not like overdoing the first one and then I run out with the second. I think I'm still fine though. So that is coming right along. It's been like car knitting. Very simple, you know, just stockinette and stripes. So perfect for taking in the car. I like small projects in the car, and this has been really good for that. And I've cast on 2 new sweaters. One is I'm designing it, so I think it's work. So I'm giving myself a little leeway here that I can have 2 sweaters. One is for me and one is a design. So the first one is for me, and yeah, this is some hot pink stripes going on here. So this is Twitch by Kim McBrien Evans, and I saw this pattern and I just like the asymmetrical look of it. It's got different panels. I'm working on the first panel here. So you have 3 panels that are all different stripe widths. So these are the widest ones here. And then you do these 3 panels for the back, and you sew them up, and you do the same for the front, but it's got like some neckline shaping going on. There is some sleeve shaping as well, because it's a drop shoulder design. So 2 of the, or I guess 4 of the panels will do some increases along the underarm to make the shoulders drop down a little further on the arm, and then it has like that really narrow sleeve circumference. And actually I really like how she does the choosing the size for the pattern. Because drop shoulder sweaters, the way they fit you, especially when it's going to be oversized anyway. So the oversized body can fit lots of different body shapes and sizes, but it's the arm circumference that's actually more important, because it's very fitted. So you want to choose a size where the arm is going to work for you. So I really like how that she has that in her pattern. Instead of choosing based on your bust, then choose based on your arm circumference. And that should be more of a thing with drop shoulder sweaters, I think, especially when they are like the more tight fitting sleeves, because that arm circumference is actually more important, because you could like go super oversized with the sweater and then it's got like massive armholes and then you have these giant sleeves as well, and you really don't want that. You want to give it like a really slim sleeve, or it just looks like the whole sweater is way too big for you. Where if you have a smaller sleeve, then it looks intentional, like you went, you know, like the size of the sweater is purposely large, but you've got like, it still looks proportional because the sleeve is more fitted. So this one is going well. I've done, the ribbing is done. I'm working through this. I'm gonna have to wash and block this though, because I usually like swatch in multiple size needles, but this uses sock yarn. I'm using Knit Picks Stroll Black, and I think this is Cosmopolitan again, or I really like the hot pink. That seems to be a thing lately. And I think it's 30 stitches to the inch is what you need, or 4 inches for gauge. And I've knit so many socks, so I know, you know, like my sock gauge is 8 or 9 stitches to the inch on a 2.25, which is what, a US 1. So I figured, okay, 30 stitches, let's hop right up to a US 2. I did that, and I got 28 stitches, like 7 stitches to the inch. So 2 stitches less than I need for this. So I figure let's split the difference instead of doing another swatch. I know if I go down like the 2 needle sizes, it's going to be too many stitches. I'll definitely get like at least the 32 stitches. So we're just going to go with like a US 1.5 and hope that gets me to my 30, because that's all that's in between. You know, I know on one end I'm going to get 8 or 9 stitches to the inch. The other end I'm at 28 stitches in that 4 inches. So split the difference and hopefully US 1.5. So I've knit enough, and well, I figured because I'm not doing the whole body all at once, you're doing 3 panels. This is just 1. Well, 6 panels altogether. There's 3 on the front, 3 on the back. So I'm like, okay, this is, I might as well just cast on. I know that the 2 is going to be too big and the the US 1 is going to be too tight, so let's use the US 1.5 and start a panel. Then I can knit enough of it, and I've definitely done enough now, so I can like just wash this, throw it in the dryer, because that's what I would do with this yarn, and then check my gauge from that and see how I'm at. Hopefully I'm at 30 stitches. If not, I'm probably I'll still use the same needle size, I think, and then I'll have to check my row gauge anyway. But anyway, so I'm gonna wash and block this, and well, check my gauge before, wash and dry, and then check my gauge after. And hopefully I'm on target. I think I'm just gonna stick with this fabric, and if I have to remath, I have to remath, but I don't think I'm gonna have to. This should be the closest I can get to like the 30 stitches in 4 inches. Since it's helpful to know, like, because I use Stroll, I know what like I'm gonna get for a gauge on like a US 1 needle already, so there was no point in trying that. So I'm just wondering if I should have like toned down my colors. I feel like this is gonna be very bright, but I don't know. Sometimes in the winter, I want some bright colors to cheer me up, because it's gray and cold and it's kind of wet and rainy today, so when on days like that, I like bright colors. So the only other thing is probably the black. Like she was talking about doing a tubular cast on for the edge, and I like started it in the black yarn, and I'm like, no, there is no way I'm doing a tubular cast on with this. I did a long tail, and you can't even, I mean, you can't see anything anyway because it's black. So I didn't do anything fancy for the cast on, because there's no point. Nobody's going to see it. They're just going to see black stripe. So another nothing particularly difficult. I'm going to have some increases to do for the sleeve shaping, some neckline shaping, just lots of stockinette stripes. But for some reason, this feels good right now. I think because I do have another project, another design I'm working on. And even though that's going to be a fairly simple one too, it's like I'm designing it, so I've got to do all the math and the grading and all of that stuff. So that takes more brain power. So some simple projects are always nice, that you can just knit and watch your subtitle dramas and, you know, just relax. And that's what I've needed lately. So speaking of that design, this is my swatch right here. That's all I've done so far. This is Knit Picks Galileo Sport Weight. Color's called Stardust. That's just like an icy blue. I really like that. let me see, what is this? It's very drapey. 50% merino, 50% viscose from bamboo. So it's got like a little bit of a shine to it, and you can tell like it's very, very drapey. So I was swatching to figure out needle size, and the sweater, it's going to be a top-down yoke sweater. It's going to be a full tutorial. So I'm going to knit a size for myself, and then I have a mannequin here, so I want to knit like a sample size. That one's going to be in Wool of the Andes Sport, which is has the same gauge information. And then I'll do like, I'm going to do a full video tutorial, so I'll have like another mini sample sweater. That one's going to be in Heatherly Sport, which is a blend of acrylic and I can't remember now, cotton. Maybe, I can't remember. So 3 different yarns from Knit Picks, but all within the same gauge pretty much. So I'm doing my gauge swatch for my size first to see, hopefully, I'm not sure how everything's going to work out needle size wise. Usually, like for sport weight, it's between like a US 3 and 5. But because this one has some bamboo and it's a bit slipperier, I might go down to a size 2. So I've got to figure out how to work that out to put it in the pattern. But so I did a US 2 and a US 3 for this swatch. I wanted to test them out. And I think I actually like the fabric on the US 2. I did my pre-block measurements, and it's been washed and it's been drying all weekend. So I'm going to take some more measurements, and then I'm probably going to hang it up for a day and then take some measurements again to see if it like starts to grow or drape or anything. I don't expect it will, because it is 50% wool. But because of that drapey bamboo, I want to make sure. It's a really lovely fabric though, and I'm looking forward to knitting a yoke sweater with this. I think it'll be really nice. So the design is, it's a tutorial. It's going to be a full video tutorial, knitting a top-down yoke sweater. So, but very basic, like just stockinette stitch. But to make it a little interesting, I am going to have like a couple different edgings, like a twisted rib, maybe like a reverse stockinette edging, and then I-cord for like the sleeve cuffs as an option. And then 2 body lengths, cropped and like waist or hip length. Sleeve lengths, I'm still deciding. I think I might do like a cap sleeve. And then I'm thinking like full length sleeves, but then you'd have your choice. You could do like a balloon sleeve or like a standard fitted sleeve. And then the other thing I'm thinking about for the neckline is, because there's usually like 2 camps. A lot of people, they want to cast on, do the ribbing, start the whole yoke right away. So I'm going to have that as one option, like cast on, do the ribbing, do some short row back neck shaping, and then the rest of the yoke, the rest of the sweater, just stockinette, and then choose your edging. Decide how long you want the body and the sleeves to be. But when I knit a yoke sweater, I actually like to come back and finish the neckline after. So I think another option I might include is to like start at the, like the one option will be a crew neck, and then the other option will be like you start after one of those decrease rounds, so it's a little further down, finish the sweater, and then come back, and like if everything will be on like a provisional cast on, so then we can like do a decrease round, short row shaping, and then finish with the neckline edging there. So you learn short row shaping in both directions, which would be, they are different, they're done differently. I like them so you can like hide the short rows along where the ribbing is, so you don't actually see short row shaping in the body of the sweater. That's my preference, is if I'm going to do back neck shaping, I'm going to do it so those short rows get hidden, like in that last row of the ribbing. Like you're working the body of the sweater, but you're working it so the short rows are right along the ribbing edge, no matter which direction you're knitting in. So you have to change the way you're worked, whether you start with the longest or the shortest, depends on which way you're going. But that's my preference. I know I see a lot of patterns where it's worked, and you end up seeing the short rows in the body of the sweater. I understand why they do it, because of the way the short row shape, the way it's shaped, but I just think they look better if you can hide them. Then you don't see them. So that is my preference. So it's going to be like a beginner tutorial sweater, but it's going to have options, I guess. So And then I was wondering if should I add waist shaping, you know, and then I think that might be too much. Like it's heading into too much territory. If I've got 2 different neckline options, different sleeve options. Body length is not a big adjustment, but I don't know. What else would you put in like a basic tutorial for a top-down yoke sweater? I feel like raglans are done all the time, so I wanted to do a circular yoke for something different. And I will have like some explanation about choosing sizes, especially for larger bust. Because I mean, you can knit a yoke sweater, you actually have to use your full bust measurement or close to, because of the way a yoke is shaped, where like by the time you're out to here, you've got a big circle and it's draped over your full bust already, so it has to be able to fit there. But you can like adjust the fit so you don't end up with a bunch of excess fabric in the back and then not enough in the front. So that'll be in the tutorial as well. So yeah, maybe I'm talking myself out of the waist shaping because I feel like it's just gonna be way too much at some point. You know what I mean? And it's still supposed to be sort of beginner focused. But I'd like to hear thoughts. I mean, if you're a sweater knitter or if you're new to sweater knitting, what you would like to see in like a beginner pattern. So it'll be full video tutorial with a companion pattern like I do for my socks. Like it's just a full video. You can use it for any sock you want really, but it does have a pattern to go along with it. But the goal with this is to like show you all the elements of knitting a top-down yoke sweater, and how to make, you know, how to do all of those steps. And not so much make modifications, that's a whole different thing, but like how to do, you know, how to shape a sleeve or cast on provisionally and come back and finish the neckline after. All of those little things that you'd want to learn how to do if you're knitting a sweater like that. So that is this week's project. Actually, the swatching is done. I need to get my gauge measurements. I think I might, I don't know, record some of the process and then turn that into a video, like how it goes from swatch to sweater and design and all of that. I do have one project sort of on hold. I keep meaning to get to it and I just have not done it yet. That's the geode cowl. I wanted to do something that had assigned pooling, where you have a variegated yarn, and then when you get to a certain color in that yarn, you do a specific like stitch pattern with it. So it's just a very simple cowl. It's just a rib cowl, and then when you get to a certain color, I think it's doing seed stitch, so you get a little bit of texture and you can see, like, it's just show off the variegated colors in the skein on purpose. And I wanted to do that, and won't have it done in time for this session of the class, but I'm going to be teaching this the class on variegated yarn again, so hopefully I'll have it done for that. But this is Capretta Superwash. It was bare yarn and I dyed it. The orangey color, I had some leftover dye from dyeing the Fading Point shawl, and then I combined that with like sort of a not navy blue, maybe a little more of like a cobalt blue. So this one I did when I dyed it, I like laid out plastic wrap and I laid the skein out and I sort of painted the dye on there, because I wanted like to be 2/3 of just blue and then like 1/3 of the orange color all in one spot. And that's what you want, like when you're looking for a yarn for an assigned pooling project, you want it where instead of like variegated all over, it's like one clump of that color. And then the goal is to like figure out how long it takes to knit through that sequence, which is why I haven't cast on, because I know I have to sit down and knit like a little swatch to figure that out before I can actually cast on, and I just haven't been in the mood to do that. But the geode cowl is from Expression Fiber Arts. The designer is Jane Vansalus for Expression Fiber Arts. So I'll link to that pattern. It's an interesting pattern. I've read through it and I want to do it. I just haven't been in the mood to like sit and sort of, because it's more of a recipe, like, because every variegated yarn is going to be different and your gauge is going to be different. So you sort of have to like do a little test to see how many stitches you should have in your cowl to get like the colors to line up so you can get sort of that geode effect. So we have to get a bit nerdy and talk about our book for the month. And yes, you may notice that we usually have our book at the beginning. I decided to move it to the end for a change, and we'll see how that goes. But this month's book is Demystifying Double Knitting by Nathan Taylor, and he is like a double knitting guru, and this book is fabulous. If you're new to double knitting and you want to have all the basics in one place, this is a really, really good book. And he has also includes some patterns that aren't in here, but they're more like inspirational, like these beautiful double knit shawls. And I'm thinking they must have taken ages to knit. At least they would for me. But like the projects in here are hats, cowl. There is a scarf, which is absolutely lovely. And if I weren't sick of double knitting, I would have that on my list, but I kind of want to break from double knitting, but I think that's going to go back on the list. I need to go look at more of his, because some of the patterns or the designs he shows in here are absolutely stunning, but they're not in the book because this one is focused on beginners. So the patterns in here are beginner patterns. But I do like that he included other ones. I don't know if I like it actually. I like that they're there because I can see the potential of double knitting, but then the patterns themselves aren't in the book, and I'm kind of like, why aren't the patterns there? But I realize why they wouldn't be, because they were like expert level double knitting patterns, and that's not the focus of this book. But what is included is really good, like really good full color photograph swatches and all the techniques and the tips and everything you would know, absolutely everything you need to know about double knitting, and then patterns to go along with it. Very, very good resource. So I would definitely recommend this for double knitters. So let's go to the overhead and actually take a look at the book itself. So here's our book, Demystifying Double Knitting by Nathan Taylor. This is one of the projects in there, which is really great. And you can see an example right here of what you're going to find inside. These really good close-up pictures. So here is the table of contents. So like a before we begin section, the basics of it. And then I really love this. He has like your first project, so you can learn the whole process doing this small coaster. And then textures, increases and decreases, which I need to read because my project was just very knit straight, like nothing going on with increasing or decreasing. And then if you want to not mirror the two sides, that's really interesting. And then some patterns to practice with as well. So, and then there's like inspirational. There's one of those inspirational shawls that has double knitting in it, but that pattern is not included specifically in this book. So then we've got concepts, you know, and it's got lots of pictures to walk you through the process, which I really like. Nice clear photography so you can see each step. So here's the first project right there. It's just a coaster is what he calls it. It's just a small square is all it is, but it's enough to learn all of the basic skills that you need. So he walks you through all of the skills as you do this project, which I think is just such a good way to learn. And then he talks some about the different textures that you can also do, because you don't have to do double knitting with just stockinette. I have not explored that yet, but that is something for the future. There's a bit of garter stitch right there. And then sections on increasing and decreasing, which I need to sit down and study. I haven't gotten to a project yet where I need to do that. Then in the back, you'll find a selection of patterns, and I like that they're all small, doable objects. There's a cowl, there's 3 hats, and there is a scarf. I can't say I'd recommend starting with a scarf. A smaller project is a really good way to like get all of the basic skills down. Like there's the cowl. So everything you need for the pattern, for each of these patterns is in here. All of your information. It's a really cute cowl. Now I do love this scarf, but I'm just not sure I'm prepared to do another project like that right now. But really good resource, really good explanations. He's a great teacher, at least in book format. I'd like to take a class with him, I think, but really good resource if you're new to double knitting and you like a book. I do. I like to sit and refer to a book because I can just like hold it open in my lap and to follow along. But definitely want to check out this book, Demystifying Double Knitting by Nathan Taylor. The last thing to show is this month's Yarnable subscription, which is Happily Ever After. So I guess you can hear what the theme is already. So one of the things in there are these apple clips, which I'm going to be using over here for my swatches. I've got lots of little clips, and I think these apple ones are so cute. So those will be very useful. And then an apple cinnamon mug muffin mix, which I want to give it. I'm very happy to see that this is gluten-free because I don't eat gluten. So sometimes when you get things like this, it's like, meh, give it to somebody else. But this is gluten-free, so I can have this. And I'm looking forward to giving it a try. I didn't even know you could buy, like I've done like muffin mugs, like homemade ones, but I didn't know they came in like packages like this. So this is an apple cinnamon flavored one. So probably gonna make this tonight. Then again, it's a nice rainy day and it feels like a cup of tea muffin kind of day. So, and the ingredients are actually really good. Almond flour, It uses allulose as a sweetener, which I've heard about. Dried apples, coconut flour. So I would say it's keto friendly too if you do that, I would think. Yep, keto friendly it says, yes. So I'm interested in give this a try, and I'm curious to go check out this brand and see if they have other ones. Just because, like, I've made some before and they're kind of, they're okay to make them at home. But I wouldn't mind having a couple on hand when I just want something a little sweet. I'm not, my husband doesn't like the texture of gluten-free baked goods, and I'm the only one who's gluten-free. So I generally, when I bake stuff for them. And I don't bake gluten-free things because it's just me that would, well, my daughter would eat them. She doesn't really notice the difference too much or mind it. But my husband has gotten in the habit, he'll stop at like a gluten-free bakery and he'll buy me like a brownie or something like that. So I don't really bake much for myself anymore, which is not a bad thing. I really don't need it. But it'll be nice to like make a treat once in a while for myself. So I might check out this company and see what else they make. And okay, along with this, this was I think this might be one of my favorite months, is the Swede dishcloth. So this is like, it feels like really thick, cardstocky paper felt. I don't even know how to describe it. But you use it, it's like, what is it made out of? 70% wood pulp and 30% cotton. 100% biodegradable and compostable, and well, reusable. You can use it, what did it say before? One cloth can replace up to 17 rolls of paper towels. So, and you can throw it in the top rack of your dishwasher, air dry only, not your clothes dryer, but boiled or microwaved if you like clean up like your raw meat counters or something like that. So I'm intrigued by this cloth. I don't even know, like I wish you could feel it. It is like thick and textured, sort of like felt cardstock or something, foam, I don't know. But wood pulp and cotton to replace paper towels. So, and I use paper towels. I try not to use too many of them, but sometimes, you use paper towels. So I've been holding off on using this because I wanted to show it before, I get it wet and use it. But I think this is a really cool idea. And if I like this, I can definitely see me buying more of these in the future. Just, to save on my paper towel usage. I think that's really cool. So Swede dishcloths. Very, very neat. And of course, you're really here for the yarn, but for some reason, I thought everything in this package was just so cool. So, Happily Ever After. This is our color this month. Really lovely variegated yarn. I'm going to open it up because I like to see the whole skein. So you get those appley tones. There's, and here there's this bit of like a golden color. And these darker splotches in there. Splotches is not the right word, little speckles. So variegated yarn. Oh, I don't know what to do with this one. I don't know, but I'm getting quite a little collection here. So I've got to get ahead of the game and pick out some projects. I did put together a Ravelry listing of just 1 and 2 skein knits to give me some ideas of smaller projects that use just a skein or 2. But really, I like the colors on this one. This was probably one of my favorite months so far. I'm intrigued by that cloth and I want to go eat that apple mug muffin. I haven't had my breakfast yet, but that might be part of it, or I should save it so my husband can try it too. We'll see. But really great month anyway. So I've got a link down below. If you are new to Yarnable, you can get $5 off your first month using my link. So of course, we have to wrap up with our giveaway. We always have a giveaway every month at the end of the month. This month, it's a $50 digital gift card from Knit Picks. You can see I use Knit Picks a lot, so I'm happy that they're willing to provide a gift card. They are providing the gift card for this. Thank you so much to Knit Picks for sponsoring this. So what happens is I'm going to put a screenshot of Wonderfluff yarn that I just used for my cardigan. Just tell me what color you like. Leave a comment down below. picking one of those colors and say that you really like this color or that color, and that will be how I know you want to enter the giveaway for a $50 gift card. So Knit Picks ships to the US, to Canada, UK, and Australia. So this giveaway is only open in those 4 locations, or if you live somewhere else, if you can have your items shipped to one of those 4 locations. They don't ship worldwide. So if you're in the UK, Australia, Canada, or the US, or have a mailing address in one of those places, then this giveaway is for you. So leave a comment down below telling me which color of Wonderfluff you like, and I'll know you want to enter the giveaway. And then next Tuesday, I think it's October 1st, I will choose a winner using a random comment generator, and I will leave a comment under your comment. I can't email you, there's no way to get in touch with you, so I will leave a comment telling you you won with my email address, and you have 48 hours to get back to me. If I don't hear from you within 48 hours, I'm going to choose another winner and continue doing that until somebody responds to me. And sometimes I have had to do it 3 times to get somebody to answer. So please make sure your notifications on YouTube are turned on. If you don't know how to do that, just Google it. I don't know how to do it either, but make sure your notifications are on. So if somebody responds to you, you know that you got a response. So all the rules and regulations for the giveaway are down in the video description box. And the final disclaimer is YouTube has in no way sponsored or participated in this giveaway. I'm hosting it, and Knit Picks is providing the gift card. When I hear from the winner, then I will send their email and name to Knit Picks, and they will send your gift card on to you. And YouTube has nothing to do with it. That's the final disclaimer. That's it for this episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new here, this is your first time watching a podcast episode, I'll put a playlist here with all the past episodes from this year so you can catch up on all the projects that I've been working on. And if you've been around for a while, then I'll let YouTube recommend a video that you might have missed, and I'll see you in the next video.